Okay, next we have Rise of the Necromancer, a LitRPG series, written by Dick Davis. I think this is the third book in the series. It is 255 pages, $2.99. It is available on Kindle Limited, and here's the author's description. Cast spells, have fun, bring back the dead to life. Being a necromancer has its perks. Jakub Russo recently graduated from the Queen's Academy of Magic. He is a necromancer, a wizard who can bring back the dead to life. And he's still trying to prove himself. Disaster strikes while he and his friends are traveling through a desert, and he wakes up alone in a land where danger lurks in every shadow. Using his necromancy magic and survival grit, he needs to save his friends and get back to safety. Can he pull off this impossible rescue? When he finds himself up against a band of not-so-nice slavers, ridiculously giant insects, and an old warrior bear looking for revenge. Well, if a necromancer can't cheat death, nobody can. There we go. I've actually really enjoyed the first two books in the series. I thought they were fun and interesting. They were lighter on the RPG mechanics, but they're still enjoyable. That a really interesting main character who was a necromancer. And I thought that aspect of the story was well thought out, well planned, and that also had a cultural impact in that story universe. And a lot of that doesn't exist here in book number 3, which is unfortunate. The first half of the novel it almost feels like it's a different series because it is set in such a different setting. The novel kind of starts over with the main character fleeing his home country with a desert caravan, and the beginning portion of the story, like a good portion of it, isn't even told from the main character's point of view. It's told from the different perspective. And that's another thing that kind of shifts in the story, and that you have this multi-perspective point of view thing where it's told from character perspective that don't really matter or that you don't know. And only after like this huge dust storm section of the novel, where the main character gets separated from the group, do you actually get to see his particular point of view, which I thought was just a little bit distracting. Because I came for the main character. I didn't come for these other characters. The main character in the novel doesn't cast a lot of spells, which I was super surprised. Like eventually it kind of becomes a matter of like him conserving necromantic energy versus him needing to use it for survival. But a lot of it doesn't come out until like mid story and later on. So the first half is just focuses on like survival stuff and like the caravan stuff. And there's just like this point of view shifting between the main character and the slavers that captured him and all these other people that just, like I said, it just felt kind of confusing. And till like the middle of the story, I was just kind of bored with it because the survival aspects are okay. They just weren't really that particularly interesting for me. There's no real action in this novel, besides like the few places where the main character kind of comes into conflict with those slavers. And the bear thing was like just really out of left field. I feel like somebody was that novel, that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio, The Revenant. It felt like somebody was watching The Revenant while they wrote the first draft of this novel or something. And they brought in this like bear that was kind of hunting the main character that I thought was just kind of a weird aspect, especially in the middle of a huge desert. I'm not sure where the bear belongs there, but still, it is an aspect of the story, and you actually get to see the bear's point of view, which is also weird, or at least like not super entertaining for me. The action picks up a little bit after that half of the stuff at no point in the story, I should say. But again, there's just so many other point of views that you're just like, oh, I was looking forward to reading a story about the main character and not all these other people. Overall, the story isn't poorly written or anything. It's not. There's nice character development for these secondary characters and a couple of good action scenes, but overall, I felt like the story was only minorly about the necromancer that I came to read about, and overall, I was just kind of bored with the story. So for me, it gets a score of 5 out of 10. That's Rise of the Necromancer, a LitRPG series with a score of 5 out of 10. I really like the first 2 books much more.